Okay, so I'm loading a simple product of mine, just a table and chairs. I don't know if anybody else has noticed how slow these load windows come up, or whether it's just me, but it'll be with us in a moment. I may cut some of this out just to shorten the video. And now load the mesh. That was the skeleton. Refresh. There we go. Just get rid of that opacity, and that's the chairs. Updated. Now I'm going to add the colours as I'd normally do per material. There are no transparencies in this. I'm not going to speed through this because it's important just to see the process as it goes, because it's a fault I want to underline, so bear with me for the boring bits. This error doesn't seem to occur on the first three textures, by the way. The ones that were the original, with the original chair model that we derived from. It doesn't seem to matter with them. It seems to work perfectly. So I can only assume it's when the materials originate on the mesh that you are producing. That's all I can assume, anyway. Okay, I just quickly saved it there so that I can return back to this mesh at this point in a moment. Number 4. You see on number 5 and 6 here, there's some rogue textures appearing that I don't know where they're from. So that might also be an issue, but it doesn't actually affect anything. But it could be part and parcel. And 6, just bear with me. 7. And finally 8. So what you can see here is that this model, now when we refresh it, works perfectly in create mode with no additional changing of XRFs or anything from me. So I just wanted to do that to show that when you apply these materials correctly with no errors, create mode works. Okay, so I'm reloading the previous table where I saved it. So I've just applied the first three materials again, and now I'll continue applying the other ones. But I'm going to make a couple of errors this time. So I'm applying texture 3, and because I'm in a bit of a rush, what I accidentally do is I apply it twice, because I'm a bit frustrated with the speed that the file manager box is loading up. So I'm clicking quickly, thinking, oh, there you go. Well, I'll keep moving on. It wouldn't make any difference if I stopped there and tried to fix it. I'll just keep moving on. I'll apply the other textures first. There's our friend, the ghost textures. And that's would be 5. And we move on to that exciting number 6. And predictably 7 after this, and 8. I'll cut this out just to show you I've got them. Okay, so we've got 7 and 8. We're going to scroll back and fix 3 now. And what will happen is, when I click on 3 to correct it, so we're going to put 4 there, the previous slot of 3 will change with it. And what I'll do now is I'll go and try and fix the previous slot, and it'll change both slots again, as you can see. Now the problem with this is, if you're a mesher who uses real textures on your items, and just let's say you've got 2 areas that could be used for wood, and you use one wood texture, the texture afterwards who derives is never going to be able to use more than one wood, because this is just going to flick back and forth until we actually fix it by selecting, in this case number 4, and adding our own XRF, which really depreciates the value of being able to add these XRFs automatically in Create, which is a feature I like, and if it worked well would be wonderful. Now you'll see, now that that's cleaned that slot out, we can now add material 4. Bang. Okay, well now I'm going to switch to a totally different set of slots, and we're going to try the same with opacity. Now opacity has exactly the same error. If you use two opacity maps which are identical, which if you were using several types of glass, you might use the same opacity map for each coloured glass. But later on maybe you'd want different opacity maps for that if you were a texturer, but you wouldn't be able to change that. But if we look, we go 6, that's got grating on there, and we go for 7, we're going to apply the same grating to it. And there it is. Forgive the slowness. And of course now when we hit the apply, we're going to get the grating on the legs as well. But now if I go and change the grating on one of these items to something else, what shall we choose? Okay. Yeah, these stair rails will do. And now when I hit apply, you'll see that it changes on both again. So again, the two slots have been related. They've been fixed to each other because they use the same mesh name to begin with. The joy, of course, with the opacity is we do have a delete button, which means we can delete the opacity map that's causing the problem and add a new one, and it is no longer linked. So that's possibly a solution on the first map if we had the delete button for materials as well, and so we could just clear out errors and put the maps back in. But I think the fact that textures are linked is a big issue, because if somebody wants to use the same texture wood on their mesh, it means that the deriver can't, without changing the XRF, do anything about it.